Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm having some coffee. I'm feeling better from my cold, and I have lots of things to talk about today. So, cheers. And now I'll just do that little clicky techie thing here, where I back this up. I do this. I do that. Dare I say, technology and I are closer friends. Okay, it is just 9:59 according to my clock in Abbey time, New York City time. And so I'm a minute ahead, but I was keen. I'm kind of always keen, but I was really keen today because I want to talk about something that we all do. I do it a lot. And my father used to frequently say to me, "You're stalling, stop stalling." And he wasn't wrong. There were a lot of times when I was a child that I found myself stalling. And it's a very weird kind of behavior given my life. So I'll talk about that in a second. First of all, I want to welcome everybody, and I want to especially welcome the new people who are discovering this and deciding to set their time aside to watch, whether they're watching as we're live or they're catching it later. It's all good. When you catch it live, we get to kind of have a chat back and forth. However, the whole point is that we are connecting, we're getting to know each other. And if you're reading the comments, you're getting to meet and get to know the others in the tribe, this growing tribe. And that's very, very exciting. So, quick backstory. A long time ago in a far off land, if I turn and get out of the way, you can see the mom costume from You Can't Do That on Television. Before I did You Can't Do That, I was doing a lot of other work, a lot of stage work, a lot of writing, and producing and publishing. And then all of a sudden I had this opportunity, and alongside it, kind of, it's not connected in any way except timing. We were also doing a lot of animation work in Ottawa, Canada, and I was very fortunate to be involved in creating the Care Bears and creating Teddy Ruxpin and creating For Better or For Worse. And these series, these animation specials and movies and then series, um, did something quite extraordinary for kids, which I'm very proud of even today, and certainly I was then. Much like You Can't Do It on Television, they were shows that were for kids about kids. They weren't by kids, although we certainly pretended that on You Can't Do That. But the idea was that we weren't trying to paint a false picture of childhood. We were talking to the kids without preaching to the kids, and we were giving them mirrors to look into. And they could watch us and see their own lives unfolding. And in a lot of cases, how, tone deaf the adults were, and how different kinds of kids struggled and succeeded and survived and thrived. That was the whole kind of hidden agenda with these shows that I was part of. And kind of funny that in a lot of them, certainly, in For Better or For Worse, and certainly in You Can't Do That on Television, and a couple of other animations, I played a mom. Which I don't really have a lot of maternal in me, but there we are. And so, in that capacity as a mom, people kind of grew up thinking of me as somebody who might or may not say something sensible, however, could pretty much always be counted on to say something that they felt was true and helpful because I care. I might get it wrong, but I care. Good morning, Freddie. How wonderful to see you. Wonderful to see you. Tell me how you're doing on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. And so with that backstory behind me, all the other work that I was doing became a kind of a coaching, counseling, mentoring, nurturing experience. All the things that I do always have this layer of let's make sure you're okay. 8. Oh, Freddie, awesome. 8 is awesome. Congratulations. Big virtual hug. So when you get a reputation, when people start looking at you as somebody who sometimes is funny on purpose, and sometimes is accidentally funny, and sometimes, is really leaning into to handle the waves. Um, and that they care, that I care. It's a different kind of friendship. And a lot of the people that I get to meet who were fans of different shows that I've done, once we meet and I bring them into my world, if they come to one of the events that I'm at, and I bring them into my booth, and it's not a get in line, sign it, good to see you picture. We connect. And the connection is a different kind of commodity that I'm selling. I'm selling a recognition. I'm selling a connection. And I'm selling a validation that who you are is exactly right. That's what you buy at my booth. You come and other people, they're selling toys and they're selling pictures and they're selling this and they're selling that. I'm selling connection and recognition and authentication. That's what I'm selling. And I always have been. So I was talking to my brilliant great friend Billy yesterday, and I said the difference between me and everybody else at these events is everybody else is celebrating that thing they did, that thing. They're celebrating what was, together with the people who've come. I'm celebrating what was because it has brought us to who we are. I'm celebrating with the people who come to my booth. Hey, we're still doing it. Welcome back. I'm selling a reunion. I'm not selling a remember when. The remember when is a given. I'm selling now what? So much more exciting. And that is the backstory. What it leads to is why these videos. And as I explain as often as I can, partly the video is for you to be able to say, oh my, she's still there. Oh my God. And she doesn't appear to be propped up. And it also gives me an opportunity to say, this process that I do, that I've always done as a military kid, is to connect, to create the collaboration now, is to reset how we think about ourselves and each other. And we get a fresh start every time. When people come back to my booth at my events, and by the way, the next event so far that I'm scheduled for is Sunday, July 14th in Ottawa. It's called Fanaticon. It's episode 5, and it's at a great, sweet little miniature convention center in Ottawa. You can Google the Fanaticon thing, and I'll have the links up, of course. And it's just a one-day event. It's a Sunday. It goes from 10 in the morning until 5 o'clock, and it's really sweet. It's a real village kind of feel. And the whole idea, whatever anybody else is doing, good for you. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to make you famous. I'm going to make you feel the way it feels to be me all the time. That's what we're going to do. I have paparazzi. I have people interviewing you. I have cool accessories and things to do. It's if your mother or father is old enough to remember a television series called Queen for a Day, it's fame for 15 minutes, right? You're going to get your 15 minutes of fame with me. So I do that. Why? Because we all have stuff. We all have stuff. Some of us have more stuff than others on any given day. And there are times when we just need a breather, We just need a break. We just need an attaboy or an attagirl or you got this. Maybe we don't even need the words. We just need to know that we're standing there next to somebody who's, I know, right? That's it. We need to feel part of. Not all the time, but on those days when we do, here it is. So how's that for kind of a cool thing, right? Okay, quick sip, and then I'm going to dive into today. So my topic today is actually about stalling and stress and stuckification. I'm going to write that down. I love the word stuckification. What is stuckification? Stuckification is a mindset and a physical set and an emotional and an energetic set of habits that keep us firmly here, right now, forever. Why would we do that? And that's the question. What not to be ready, what not ready to be ready looks like. And the picture I used today on Facebook to introduce it, and Susan laughed and said, "Where do you find these pictures?" Is a pickup truck heading down the highway, and in the bed of the pickup truck are three of those movable metal fence gates. You know, you see them at concerts and fairs and festivals, and they're hard. They're not bendy, and they have these sort of legs, and you can move them, right? So there's a pickup truck, and there are three of these fences, and they have been tied together to create a triangle. And inside the triangle, in the open bed of the pickup truck going down the highway, is a woman sitting. And with the woman inside the triangle of three movable fences tied together in a triangle in the open bed of a pickup truck moving down the highway is a fully grown bull with horns. And every time I look at that picture, it does the same thing for me as that other picture I keep talking about, suddenly an oven. Because when you look at that picture, if you have lived any moment of life, any moment really, at the point of cognitive development, in other words, you think, and you look at that picture, if I don't have any words when I look at that picture because my brain is too busy blinking at all the possibilities simultaneously that could happen. Because here's why. The likelihood that that is Ferdinand the bull, whose only joy in life was to smell the flowers in a pasture, is slim to I don't think so, Tim. So perhaps he is a tranquilized bull. Don't care. Don't care. If anything, I don't know, a pebble in the road, a hawk flying over, a deer jumping out of the trees, something coming this way with a tire coming off, anything at all. This one blowing a gasket. Okay. What that woman inside that pickup truck open bed inside that triangle of fences is not ready to be ready. She may be having misgivings. She has no idea. And so I thought it was such a perfect picture because not that I've ever done that. And I probably would never think that that was a good idea, at least not if I could stand back and look at it and say, you know, too many variables, really. We have all, however, done something equally. Are do you have you are that people say, right, when they're trying to express their concern for you. And so the conversation is not, now then, boys and girls, we have to try harder. We have to do better. We have to, you know what? Shut up. I'm already trying harder and better and gooder than I have been. Leave me alone. This is not a pep talk. This is not it's not that. It's not even a set of instructions on how to reverse what is probably going to happen. It's not that. The question is, why are we keeping ourselves handicapped? Why are we getting in our own way? Because I know in my own head and heart and everything that I myself do this on a regular basis. And as I started to say at the very beginning, the reason that is wacko on so many levels is that it doesn't make any sense that someone like me, who has only ever lived a life where everything is temporary, who has only ever lived a life in which it was difficult to plan a fully formed idea because I never knew how much time I had in order to execute the idea. And Billy and I were having this conversation yesterday, and he said, the crazy thing is that every project you do, every client who goes away just singing your praises, every awesome book, project, branding, training, every single thing, every show you ever do begins with the end in mind. What you deliver to people is not merely the experience. You deliver the tools, and you deliver to them the understanding of the big picture. And it was funny because I was working with Susan yesterday, and we were developing a calendar, a strategic calendar for this insanely brilliant project she's creating. So proud of her. And I was saying, okay, I'm going to show you something that is really important to get good at. Not only because it saves a lot of time and a lot of duplication of effort, but it gives you ownership, and it gives you power, and it gives you the long view. You can see up close, you can see in incremental, and you can see the long view all at the same time without having to shift your focus, because it's all right there in front of you. And you can say, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So helpful when, in addition to this, strategic business direction she's taking, she's also a mom. She's also got friends. She's also got a life. She's got a house. She's got a car. She's got stuff. She's got a pet. Got a grand niece. She's got a mom. She's got kids. Everything. She's got everything we all have, and her business, and a new concept. That's a lot. How do we simplify? How do we simplify? And the answer is always, 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 always begin with the end in mind. Because when you can see that, and you can see you're here, well, now you know where the dots go, right? If it's here and here, you can either straight line the dots, or you can create any kind of pattern, but you can see where you're supposed to end. It's like those signs you see that are kind of a joke, and it says plan ahead, because they didn't space it. Oops. So when Billy and I were talking, he said, and all the way through the early years of your career, that when I knew you, you weren't doing that. And good morning, Charles. Oh, doctor's appointment. Oh well. The good news is you have a doctor to come to see. That's the good news, right, Charles? How are you and Kat doing? Tell me on a scale of 1 how you're feeling. Okay, let me know. So when we want to be free to be flexible, when we want to give ourselves room to change our minds, when we want to give ourselves an ability to explain to clients that life is what happens when you're busy making other plans, and everybody goes, oh yeah, I know, right? And you say, in all these plans, I am always building an off-ramp of possibility. Doing wonderful? Awesome. This is what we want. Thanks, Charles. So if you know that things can happen, if you know that 3 portable, not tied down fences strapped together in the back of an open pickup truck, in which there is a woman seated cross-legged and a fully grown bull, you kind of want to have an off-ramp of possibilities. Just putting it out there. So the opportunity to do that is at the beginning. Building the off-ramp of possibility. Only every day, Abby, thank you. Doing wonderful. Scale is 9.5. Way to go, Charles. So when we have an opportunity to do something new, and in fact, Paul, it's so interesting. We've actually had these conversations a couple of times. When I talk to a new person about the possibility of working together, and I explain that my goal is complex, that I am doing things that blend, and I'm doing things that leverage, that give the next one lift, so that I don't have to start at zero. It's not that I'm trying to multitask, because I know it doesn't work. And I know you all know by now my definition of multitasking is doing many things badly. What I'm trying to do is create, in the way that I create a strategy and a deliverable process. I work on the relay race principle. I work on the principle that at some point, this step is going to have to hand off to the next step. That this completion of this task is the beginning of the development and the execution of the next task. And I'm building in, as much as I possibly can, a seamless transition. I'm building in a description that doesn't sound crazy. You know, there's a joke that I tell to clients who are trying to do too much. Thank you for sharing. You're very welcome. There's a story of a little accountant who worked for the mob, and he got sent to prison for his creative accounting. And eventually he was up for parole. And they asked him, so Mr. Johnson, why do you feel that we should give you parole? Well, I've been a model prisoner, and I attend classes, and while I've been in here, I've taken an advanced course in accounting, and I've been able to do the tax returns for the inmates. And I've also taken a theology class, and I'm able to counsel them in seeking their better self. And I'm very excited. I've gotten involved in stamp collecting, and it's just so wonderful in the quiet of the library to be able to look up all the stamps. And it's a beautiful, and it's a wonderful hobby. And the head of the parole board says, this is all very, very interesting. Is there anything else you want to share? And Mr. Johnson said, oh yes. And the other thing, of course, is that every Thursday at 3:00, I'm a teapot. Back to the cell. So I tell this story, and the potential client looks at me and says, I don't get it. I know. That's why I'm telling you. You can't tell people you do too many things because you sound crazy. However, if you tell people that you do the same thing on different platforms, now you are doing one thing, and you're doing it brilliantly because you're reaching a different audience with the same thing. If I said to you that I write and I read and I create original content and I put books together and I produce stage shows and I'm working on new content and a Pivotry project and classes and retreat events and fundraising, I sound like on Thursdays at 3:00, I'm a teapot. I know, I can hear it. It's what? How can you be doing so many things? Oh my God, Abby, you're always so busy. I realized that all I was doing was saying it wrong. That's why when people say, what do you do for a living? I say, I'm in the entertainment industry. I specialize in communications and connections and collaboration. And they say, oh, what do you collaborate on? I no longer sound crazy. I say, oh, how interesting that you asked. Are you looking for a collaborator, an expert collaborator? And they say, well, maybe, because there's the connection, there's the communication. And all of my decades of experience now become their assets. That's a totally different conversation, isn't it? So when I am talking to people about what I do and what they do, and what needs to be done, I am always building in this idea that if you begin with the end in mind and you know that the process is a relay, then what you need to build in is the series of transitions that must take place along the path, and look at the ways to make those transitions as seamless as possible. That's what I do. And I've always done it because, by the way, military brat, we're leaving. And if I can build that into as my end in mind, my end in mind is always um, um, concept interrupt us. If I always know that there could be a break in the seamless transition, then that means that at every seamless transition point, I have to build an off ramp so that the people involved in this development with me don't feel as though they have been abandoned, as though they have been hung out to dry. You know, all the Vikings in the boat wake up in the morning and the captain's gone. Unhelpful if the captain didn't tell anybody where we're going. And by the way, where did he go? Did he hail a different ship and go in the other direction? What's going on? And so rather than set people adrift who trusted themselves to believe in me, I build in off ramps, alternatives, what ifs, so that a setback is always temporary. Now, I'm not fearless all the time, and I'm not successful at this all the time. You know, people say to me, "How are you so good at this?" It's because I know how to get back up really well. How do you suppose I know how to get back up really well? It would have to have involved falling down repeatedly in order to get good at the better part of it. So in this conversation today, and I know, again, it's a wandering introduction to it, but I want to make sure that I have said the thing you need to hear in order to be facing the same way with me. What is in it for us to delay readiness? What is in it for us? Because every single thing we do, rain or shine, awake or asleep, we do it to the tune of the Witham song, whether we know it or not. Every single thing we do is done to the tune of what's in it for me. All the time. No exceptions. I don't care how selflessly Mother Teresa you might be. I have offended a lot of really, really sweet, kind people who have said, I just love to give. And I say, and by the way, this is also real. The reason we love to give, my love, is because giving feels good to us. What's in it for us is the feel good that giving creates. The joy in them is our feel good. Our feel good is completely 1000% selfish. That it has a positive, beautiful, generous, happy ending outcome, well, that's the cherries on the icing on the cake. Make no mistake, though, it's always what's in it for me. Always, always, always. So the question is, if we're doing something that is harmful to us, if we're doing something that is holding us back, if we're doing something that is perpetuating not ready to be ready, why are we doing that? What's in it for me there? Forget, are you listening to you? Forget that. Forget the blame, shame, guilt, hysterical laughter pointing at the picture. Forget that. Okay? delete, although don't really delete because that picture is hysterical. What is your hidden agenda? Why are you having a gurney moment? I talked about the gurney moment on Tuesday. I talked about it because I had an epiphany on the weekend, and I thought, for God's sake, how long, oh Lord, in life am I going to keep having gurney moments? And the answer is, well, probably a lot fewer than I used to. Still. And what's a gurney moment, you ask? Well, that's me after a very busy and painful and confusing and terrifying day, being dragged into the 4th hospital in as many hours after a horrific accident, after a very long, complicated day before that, being finally wheeled into a hospital room behind my best friend who was wheeled into the gurney ahead of me. She's now in the bed. I'm on the gurney, and I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my God. And then the orderly says, okay, now it's time to, and I said, could I have a moment? And he said, well, we really want to, and you'll feel so much better. And we really, and I'm sitting there, and there's this tiny voice in me. I mean, it was very young, so I probably wasn't as clearly articulating it as I would now. Channeling all my best Brooklyn biker buddies in the process. Could I just have a minute? Using the other words. And my girlfriend said, for God's sake, Abby, they need the gurney. Get off the gurney. Get in the bed. They need the gurney. They need the gurney. And that was the only thing that snapped me out of it. That was the only thing. She's one of my dearest friends. I mean, we've been through a lot together. We've been through so many things together. Oh my God. Yes, get off. They need the gurney was the only thing that hit me. And it's not because I was selfless. It's because there's somebody in the same condition I'm in. And they're still in the ambulance waiting for the gurney. Okay. I got off the gurney. And I got in the bed. I talked about this on Tuesday. So go back and look at that video. And she says to me, and we were talking about it actually, we connect twice a year or more often if we, if things permit. One is on our birthday. We're not the same month, but we're the same time of year, and 1 month apart. And we also connect on the anniversary of the accident that did not take us. It's very special. And on this particular phone call, I'm not quite sure why, it just seemed to be the right thing to do. She said, you continue to amaze me by the choices you make in where you draw the line in the sand. The places you plant the flag defy all logic. And I said, well, from where you're standing, maybe. And she said, no, not from where I'm standing. I'm like, what? Do you yet know why you would not get off that gurney? The gurney, you were 1.5 feet from the end destination. And there was this large, handsome German orderly willing to help you. And you're babbling some nonsense about, I need a minute. And I said, all I can say to you is, I had run out of I'm okay with it. I had run out of being good about it. I'd hit the wall. She said, being good about it? She said, everybody along the way was saving our lives. And I said, I understand the bigger picture. However, from inside my head, those were not my immediate option choices had I had the power and the freedom to make them. Therefore, somebody was making them for me. And I didn't really like the outcomes of their choices in those immediate moments. I understand that in the big picture, they were the right choices. I get it. But in the moment, she said, this is a control thing. I said, well, of course it's a control thing. Of course it's a control thing. How could it not be a control thing? And this really is what this video is about. What this video is about is that we do not feel that we have the resources right now. This is the semi-conclusion I am closing in on here. And it's all about Pivotry, and it's all about this need that we are sharing. We are taking the next step in our processes without making sure that what we meant to do, we actually did. We're skating. In a lot of cases, we're phoning it in. I've used the term indifferent incompetence. And that sounds deliberate. That sounds like I think people are saying, I'm going to be a jerk. And I know that's not what's going on. I mean, sure, we've all met that person. I'm going to make your day. I met one who took me to court, cost me a fortune. Very embarrassing. Still dealing with the ripple effects of that 40 years later. That's not who we're talking about. We're talking about giving up. We're talking about giving up instead of letting go. Letting go is letting go of control. I let go when I got off the gurney. I wasn't going to win. And by getting off the gurney voluntarily, I was making it easier on everybody. I was prepared to fight for longer until Deborah pointed out the error of my ways. Thanks, Deborah. She was right. I was trying to plant my flag in a dumb spot. What I was trying to tell her was that I had to plant the flag someplace fast because I was running out of the strength to hold it. I didn't want to put it down. I needed to set it up so I could breathe, so I could get my strength and my energy and my focus and my curiosity and my willingness and my passion back, because I was running on empty. And I think that is what we are all doing. We are running on empty. So when it took me forever to simply organize the stuff for spring cleaning, I had all these piles of things. I hate looking at piles of things. I have a pile of things on the other side of the desk and I can't see them because I've made the pile low. Because the disorder I don't like it. Why would I put it off? If I have organized it in piles, why wouldn't I just take the next step? And the answer to that is, I'm not ready. The question is, am I aware that makes me not ready to be ready in a crisis? And the answer to that is only when I stop and think about it. Now, enough of my organizational skills are always in play so that back in February when I got hacked, I had immediate access to the documents I needed. I didn't have to run in circles saying, where are they? Where are they? I was able to grab them, shove them in an envelope, and run to the bank to stop the bleeding out of my funds. I was able to take ownership of that. When the fallout of that hack, of the close accounts and open new ones and get new access cards and passwords and everything, there was only one entity that did not process the new information and kept trying to take its payments out of a now defunct bank account. The end result of that was a bailiff showing up on my door on my birthday with orders to seize the car And then frantic calls to the dealer and frantic calls to this, that, and the other thing, sorting it all out in less than a week. It was a very busy, very frantic week, though. And the car dealership, bless their hearts, took responsibility for the lack of communication between the dealership and the lender. And they paid all the penalties and all the fees that had nothing to do with, because they had to, of course, they're going to take out the car payments. Of course they are. Perfect. They didn't take them out before. It's not like I'm double paying. But the car dealership owned the other costs to me, which was a wonderful thing. Why did that happen? Are they saints? No, they're in business. Did we create a good relationship in the short time that I've known them? Yes. How did we do that? Make a friend, make a connection, create a climate of collaboration so that what I do benefits you, what you do benefits me. We are in this together. This is how I can fast track so many things effectively. What does that have to do with when we're not ready to be ready? And I truly feel, only from my own experience, and I would love to have you tell me yours. I am giving myself a timeout when I do it. I am aware that by stalling, by saying I need a minute, by embracing my gurney moment, I know that the first person I'm handicapping is me. My intention, though, is not the handicap. My intention is to give me a chance to breathe, for God's sake. I am so grateful for every single thing that happens to me that makes me stronger, that helps me out, that gives me a hug virtually or otherwise, that shows me an insight that I wasn't seeing because I wasn't facing the right way. I am so grateful for all of those things. However, I also need to be careful that I push myself too hard and fall down and hurt myself. I have to look after me. There are other people who do their best to step in and fill in and share that challenge and derive the benefits. But it starts with me, always. And in sharing this with you, I want you to realize that yours starts with you too. So the question isn't, what is wrong with you? For God's sake, can you not see the problem with that? That's not the question. The question is, come over here. Come over here, stand beside me, have a look at that. Fine. Over here, stand me. Couple of things happen. I don't see anything. Okay. How about that? I still, or, oh my God. Ha 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 ha, or, yeah. So what was missing? Perspective. Where were we focused? On the wrong thing. I'm picturing in my head the conversation between the driver of the pickup truck and the woman sitting in the flatbed in the back inside three fences with a bull. And by the way, the bull isn't tethered. Didn't mention that. The conversation between the driver and the bull guard, bull keeper. Are you sure this is a good idea? Listen. Reason, excuse, denial, resent, whatever. Sorry I asked. I'll just go and get in the open bed of the truck. In most cases, in many cases, part of the answer is going to be, well, we can't afford the better, bigger, smarter, longer, safer option. We're just going to have to make do with this. So pay attention and be ready. Be ready. Okay. So to do what? Lead the bull happily from the truck as it overturns on the highway? Set up the barbecue for steaks just in case? I mean, what? So the question that I want us to ask ourselves on a piece of paper, on the digital notepad thing in your phone, whatever you use, in this situation, so situation X, what am I doing? What's in it for me? You don't have to ask, why am I doing it? How am I doing it? Blah, 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 blah. What is the end game I'm looking? You don't have to go to all that trouble. This is a simple quiz. Referencing the open pickup truck bed with woman, 3 fence gates, and a bull as the truck drives down the highway. Question number 1, what am I doing? And just answer what I'm doing. I'm sitting in the open flatbed of a truck inside 3 portable gates with an untethered bull. Even as you write that answer, there's got to be some part of your brain saying, check, please. There's got to be. Question 2, what's in it for me to do this? Not if I do it. I'm doing it. There's the picture. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? We can all visualize the thing we're about to do. What's in it for me to do it? Good, bad, and different, positive, negative outcome. What's in it for me to do it? Simple answer. What's in it for me? Adrian, I was in a similar situation, balancing hundreds of heavy books in a truck as the truck made it through the city. Adrian, in that moment, learned the difference between light reading and heavy reading and hard cover as opposed to soft cover. Also, the interesting exponential outcome of cumulative effect. It's a product of how many books, how fast, right? Interesting, bigger picture things that came out of that experience. So that what's in it for me? What's in it for me to ride down the highway doing this? Because my husband I'll never hear the end of it if I don't. Okay, well then there's a reason. There's a perfectly legitimate reason. However, hospital, broken leg, concussion, runaway bull, all kinds of other stuff on the other side of the bull, right? All of that. The only question we need to ask, the only 2 questions, what am I doing? What's in it for me? And the thing we're not allowed to do is say, because I'm a giver, because I care, because I'm selfless that way, because it's not true. There is always a personal, selfish, what's in it for me in everything we do. Selfish doesn't mean that it's a bad outcome for other people. Selfish means we understand our motivation. What is the motivation of just phoning it in? What do we get out of not showing up? What's in it for me to do lip service? What's in it for me to not care? What's in it for me? I saw a friend post something the other day, said, continuing to be a bachelor at the moment, I'm eating crap. Why? Why are you eating crap? And the answer is complicated. It's because nobody can stop me. Because my in-house warden, police officer, better angel is not here. And the third answer is because I don't respect my health enough to make the effort to order something better for me than junk. But the statement was definitely everything I'm ordering is junk. So why are you doing that to yourself? What's in it for you? What's in it for you to make yourself sick? What's in it for you in the long term to make yourself unhealthy? What does that deliver to you? You're calling it a treat. You're calling it a, listen, I work hard and no. Okay. Okay. But how many treats do you need every day? How many all the time? What kind of an avenging Valkyrie hero are you that you need to be given a reward and a gold star every time it's mealtime? It's the same thing with people going out night after night after night, party after party after party, spending, consuming. What are you doing? Listen, I work hard. I deserve it. Yeah, sure. Me too. Not every day, though. I mean, if I do it every day, it's hardly a reward. we simply call it Tuesday for this one, or Thursday. It's just what I do at a certain point in a 24-hour period. It's not a reward then. It's not special. Another similar situation, currently not reacting and backing away from helping people. Yes, now Adrian has just made a very interesting point, and it's exactly on point, isn't it, Adrian? What is it that is not in it for us in the moment to be generous? Because helping other people is an act of generosity. There's still something in it for us, but we can do something in it for us that isn't generous. It doesn't involve other people. So what's in it for us to step back from being generous? And if we say, well, it's the way they no longer thank you, well, that's putting all the power in their hands, and that's not what it is. That's the excuse we can give. What is in it for us to shut down, step back, phone it in? And the answer is exhaustion. The answer is the root cause: overwhelmed, confused, exhausted, lost, hurt, abandoned, rejected, needing a moment to gather, to regather, to reset, to breathe, give ourselves permission to take the time. Gurney moment doesn't have to be an admission of weakness. Gurney moment can be reset and recovery. And my personal feeling in this, and I don't want to drag this on, even though I always end up doing that, is that we're not giving ourselves permission to realize we need recovery time. I've used this analogy so often. It's so good, it bears repeating. If you've ever been to the ocean, if you've ever stood on a beach, if you've ever simply watched a video from the perspective of the beach, just looking at the ocean, and we're not talking Hawaii surf time, we're not talking tornado, we're not talking riptide, we're not talking anything out of the ordinary, but your perspective is on the beach, at the ocean's edge, watching the waves. We have all seen that image. Okay. Do you think that as the wave hits the beach and recedes, do you think the wave is giving up? Do you think the wave is failing? Do you think that the wave and all the molecules of the wave, all the droplets of water in the wave, do you think that they have all decided to go to where the waves die? Or do you understand, without really paying attention to it, that the only way a wave can come with the power and the energy and the force and the magnificence to break and hit the beach is after it recedes to reconnect and recollect and gather and aggregate and form the volume and the energy and the direction to return. Of course it does. Of course it must. Failure and success, commitment and rejection, leading and abandoning, they're not on the page. They're not in the book. They are irrelevant words that have nothing to do with what the wave is doing and why. Why would it be any different for us? When we're tired and we need a nap, we don't say, oh my God, I failed. And we say, oh, I can't wait to go to bed and put on my warm jammies and get in and the comforter and the everything in the pillow. We're not giving in. We're not abandoning anything. We're going and getting some rest. We're recharging the batteries. That's it. So when we look at that image and we laugh and we say, what is the reason we are choosing not ready to be ready? Not about phoning it in, not about that. Why are we giving away our participation, our thinking participation, our planning ahead participation? What is in it for us to give it away? And when we know what's in it for us, I'm going to tell you very quickly and very deliciously what happens. When we recognize what's in it for us, we can congratulate us for doing the work, for seeing what our motivation is. And when we know that, when we see that and we write it down, question 1, question 2, answer, we can stop beating ourselves up and we can make a conscious decision to do one thing different that gives us access to ready to be ready. My dad's analogy always when we were playing tennis, and he would play at the back of the court and I would play up front. He would get me at the net, say, just watch, hit everything. I'll cover the back. And he would always say, the minute you get on the court, all your weight needs to be on the front, on the ball of your foot. Never the weight on the back of the foot. Why? Because if the weight is on the back of your foot, you're not ready to be ready. You need to be ready to take on the thing. So our issue in these moments of not ready to be readiness, oh my God, not ready to be readiness. I love it. Our issue is we're not ready to win. We're not ready to own it. Because with ownership comes responsibility. And we're not ready. In which case, okay, call it gurney moment and have a nap. Do something, call in and say, sorry, we can't give you any more time off. Oh, but that's unfortunate. Then I guess I have to come in. And then I'm going to tell everybody when I go home that I didn't get the time I need to rest, so I'm going to rest tonight. And they have to look after everything. But at some point, I have to look after me. And that is what I think we are doing. We're not consciously aware of it. However, we are finally saying, it's my turn. I need a gurney moment. I am aware it's unhelpful. I can only juggle so many flaming chainsaws. That's my story. No shame, no blame, no guilt. So think on that. Think on that. Give yourselves permission to say what's in it for me. What am I doing? What's in it for me? Do I need a gurney moment? That becomes question 3. What am I doing? What's in it for me? Do I need a gurney moment? And then own it. Okay. All right. So the weekend is upon us. I have things that are emerging suddenly out of nowhere. And it's exciting and it's wonderful. And I'm going to be a little mentally busy, which is a yummy thing. So until I talk to you next time, the weekend is here. Lots and lots of wonderful connections and celebrations and collaborations and quiet moments, quiet gurney moments. And we deserve all of the ones that feel right. We deserve them. We've earned them. Keep that in mind. If people complain, say, listen, Abby Mom said so. Take it up with her. Okay? Be good to you. You deserve it. Remember to hug your loved ones. They deserve it too. And thank you so much for making this happen. It would not happen without you. Okay? Catch you next time.